Hello and welcome to day 5 of the card making countdown, where I'm showing you how to make 10 different types of card over 10 days. Today we're making gift card holders. So not only is this a lovely greetings card that you can add your message to, but it's got a secret because you can pull the lid off of the coffee and you've got a lovely little hidden gift card in there. So with today's free download, which is available for 24 hours, you get this coffee cup. And I've also done a slightly modified version of the gift card holder that was already available for free on my website to turn this one into a greetings card as well. So this now opens up so that you can use it as a card, and then the top comes off for your gift card. And this one I'll also include for the 24 hours. But if you're watching this after that time, you can get the version of this for free on my website, but it just doesn't open up into the card. Once we've gone through this pre-made design and how to create it, we'll then go one step further and I'll show you how you can turn any image in Cricut Design Space into a gift card holder. So I'll pick out a snowman from Cricut Access, but also give you some tips on how you can choose whatever kind of image you want. And then we'll turn it into a greetings card. Here it is. And also add the hidden gift card holder. So if you've got someone and you know that they love a particular thing or animal, or if you're doing this for a certain event, maybe a graduation event, you could do a graduation cup or a diploma, then you'll be able to do that yourself in Design Space after watching this video. Let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the card making countdown at craftwithsarah.com/cards24. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access bundle at craftwithsarah.com/cards24 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all the files from the card making countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. Here's the coffee cup gift card holder loaded into Design Space. If you're not sure how to download and upload SVGs into Design Space, check the description of this video for a separate tutorial on how to do that. There are a couple of things we need to do after loading the design in so that we can cut it, and also make sure it's cut at the correct size so that it's going to fit the gift card that you're planning on using. First, let's add a score line to the main card to make it a little bit easier to fold. So I'll click onto my main design and then ungroup the layers by clicking the ungroup button at the top of the layers panel. I'm then going to look all the way down to the bottom to find the base and move it over to the side. Copy the width by selecting it with your mouse and pressing Ctrl and C on your keyboard or Command C on a Mac, and then get into Shapes and choose a score line and change it to the same size by doing Ctrl and V on your keyboard or Command V on a Mac and set it to there. I'll need to rotate it by 90 degrees, and then I can select the score line and the main base card and go Align Center to put that score line right in the middle, and then with those two layers still selected, press Attach at the bottom of the layers panel. Attach is what tells the Cricut where we actually want it to score. This moves it to the top. To put it down the bottom again, press Arrange, Center Back, and then we can put it back in its correct position. Here we go. And then the next thing to do is to check the size. So for this one, look down the layers until you find one which is a white layer which has the gift card holder shape on it, and then click and drag that up to the top. And this is what it looks like over here. Now we can drag a box around the whole of the gift card holder and press Group at the top of the layers panel so that now we can resize everything together. Now this rectangle I've just added onto my canvas. I probably should have said that at the beginning in case you've been wondering where yours was, because you won't have one. I just created this as a shape, and this I've set to the standard size for gift cards, which is 2.125 inches on the shorter side and 3.37 inches on the taller side. So if you're not entirely sure what size your gift card could be, then I would probably go for that one, as that does seem to be the standard. That's, your normal credit card size. And what you want to do is position a rectangle over the slits in that gift card piece, and then make sure you can see a little bit of gap at the top and the bottom where those little semicircles are showing through. So that gap is perfect. So this is actually fitting my gift card just fine. I wouldn't need to resize it. But let's say our gift card is a little bit different. If you did that and found that you couldn't see the top and bottom of those semicircles, it means that it's not quite big enough, so we'd need to make it bigger. So we'll position that so that we can see the gap on the top, and then make sure you're selecting the whole group so everything's changing in proportion, and just keep resizing until you can see a little bit at the top and the bottom, and then you'll know that it will fit. I'll just undo this and put it back to its original size. There we go. And the same thing goes for if your gift card was smaller. So now that's not going to fit because you'd have it in the top hole and it doesn't reach the bottom one. So in this instance, you'd need to make everything smaller. Ooh, that was rotate. So I'm just going to drag, make sure everything's selected, and just keep going until, again, you can see a little bit of the semicircles above and below. And once you've got that, you then know it's the correct size and you can delete that rectangle. But I'm going to do mine at the size it came in, which is for the default gift card size. So let's just double check I'm putting it back by clicking the undo button. I've resized mine now back to the default, so I can delete that one. And then if you want to, you can move that layer back down underneath the detail of the coffee cup lid, just so you can see everything else, but you don't have to. If you want to change the colours, you can do by clicking on the layers in the layers panel and then changing them in the top over there. But I'm going to keep mine at the original and just go ahead and click make. This will separate out all the colours for you. You can change the paper size in the drop down and then click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. You do need to do those changes for every single colour, so go ahead, get it all looking exactly as you want it to, and then get it cut out from cardstock with your Cricut. Here are my gift card holders all ready to be put together. I have stuck the gift one together already. You can see it opens up nicely into a card. And if I pull out the top, I've got my coffee card in there. But I'll show you how to put together this one. So we'll start with the base, the big bit here, and fold it down that score line. Make sure your bottom ends up nice and flat, so it's going to stand up. Next, we'll stick the inside pieces, which are these two layers. So I'll go for my green first. Oh, I've still got the needle in my glue. These are just getting glued in. Here we go. And not only do these look pretty when they're all stuck in, but also it gives the back of the card some more stability and strength, because otherwise it's a little bit top heavy with the gift card in the front, so you might find it doesn't stand up. But adding a couple of extra layers of card like this helps to keep it upright. There's that one. Now we can do the front. Take your other main piece and we're just going to glue around the very edge on the three sides that's not the top. Do not glue your top bit, otherwise your gift card isn't going to fit in. So just a thin line of glue quite close to the edge along those three sides. And then this fits onto the front of the card. It lines up exactly. Push it down gently because you don't want the glue to smush too much. And I'm just going to leave that to dry. While that's drying, let's glue the detail onto the top of the coffee cup lid. It's very hard to see a white piece of card on a white table. There we go. And at this point, also glue on the little coffee beans and leaves. I've already glued these on. And then you've got the bit to act as the little wrapper that protects your hand from the hot coffee. And this one I'm going to use some foam squares for to give it a bit of dimension. But if you prefer, you can just glue it. It's completely up to you. Alright, so this lines up along the front of the card so that it touches both sides without any overlap. There we go. And then glue the circle on top. Right, that was quick and easy, wasn't it? That's it. All we have to do now is add in our gift cards. So let's take my card out of there. And then where you've got the two slits, just go in one of them, push it all the way up, and then tuck the bottom one in. That will hold your gift card nice and in place. And then it will just slot in between those two pieces and push all the way down. And then you've got your greetings card in there, and it's got that hidden gift card. Now that we've got our two pre-made gift card holders from the templates I provided, let's jump back into Cricut Design Space and I'll show you how you can create your own using any image you want instead of the coffee cup or the present. Now let's see how to design custom gift card holders using any image. I think I'm going to do a snowman one where the head pulls off the rest of the snowman to reveal the gift card. So let's go into images and type out snowman and see what we can find. So to make this a little easier, I'm going to change the operation type to cut only just to help filter out some which would be unsuitable, and change the material to paper/cardstock. And then we can have a little look at the snowman in here. Now we're looking for one with different colours in it, so that we can add details like the hat and the scarf, and also one where it's going to be quite easy to cut the head off to make that into the gift card shape. This one by Design Owl I think would work quite nicely because you could hide the join underneath the scarf, and also the body's really wide, so it's going to hide that gift card shape really well. Something like this one probably wouldn't work as well because there's a gap in his feet, so you'd have to make sure the gift card would fit in the body, but it might work. The only thing is with that one, and also with this one, is that they don't have flat bases, so they're not going to stand up as a card unless we do a little bit of extra work with them, but I'll show you how to do that. That one might work, but I think this one's going to be better. I'll just have a little look. Alternatively, you could just use a head and then just use a circle for a body, draw a circle. This is quite a nice simple one. Again, the head would be easy to hide behind the scarf. This one will be a little bit more difficult because the head goes over the body, so it'd be a bit harder just to get that join where we're going to be splitting the bits apart. I think I'm happy with the two that I've chosen. This would be a nice one also because it's got that flat bottom from the snow at the base, so that would be a little easier for making it stand up. Actually, that one would be great because it's got a nice flat bottom and it's already kind of rectangular sized. So the three I've chosen, these are the image numbers for them in case you want to make the same one. This is the first one. And then let's just show you the numbers of the other two. This is the second one. And then this was the first one. So if you want to use the exact same images, just type this number into Design Space into the search up here. Make sure you include the hashtag at the start, and then they should come up. So now that we've found a couple of images, we can now look at the layers and see if they will work for what we're going to be doing. I'll hide these two. And let's take a look. All right, so this snowman, he's got all of the bits separately, which is okay. We'd probably want to do a little bit of fiddling about with this because we don't really want to have to stick on all these little bits of coal individually. It would be better if these were cut out of the white and then we could stick a black piece of card behind it to cover the gap. The body all comes as one layer at the moment, but that's not a problem because we could cut it up to have the top bit. So I am confident this would be a good image to use. But we'll take a look at the other ones too. So this one is very much in the same kind of theme, although it's a little bit harder because this one's cut out so the black is the bottom, then the white goes on top, which we would kind of want to replicate on this one for the mouth. So yeah, this one would probably work well too. This one's probably better suited for the size, but this one's a little bit cuter, I think. And then looking at this one I think would be a little bit too complicated to use because it's so many different pieces that are quite big. We'd need to do a lot of work on this one to be able to generate out all those layers. And it kind of seems a little bit of a waste cutting something that big when it's just going to be for the size of the nose. So let's get rid of that one. And then bring the coffee cup one back on and just take out the piece that's got the cutouts, and then we can delete the rest of it. And we can use this as kind of our guide of how big the snowman will be, and then we can make our final decision on which ones to use based on this. First, we'll cut off the top of the coffee cup. Obviously, we don't need that to be on the snowman. So I'll go into Shapes, choose a square, and just pull it down so that it's just touching. You can change it to a guide if that's easier. It's just going down below the top of that coffee. Ooh, didn't mean to move it then. Then I can select both of those, and down the bottom of the layers panel, press slice. That will cut the top off, so I can delete all the top layers, and now I'm just left with this. And we've already sized this in the previous step, so we know this is going to fit our gift card holder. So now we can have a play, seeing which of the images will fit best. Make sure you only resize the snowman or whatever picture it is you're doing. Don't resize the gift card bit because we need that to actually be able to fit the gift card in. Okay, so looking at it, I think this one's going to be the best one to choose. We can hide that nicely in there and then have the shape of the head coming out so it will fit in. Whereas this other one, it's a little bit harder. You'd need to stretch it out of proportion probably to get it to fit, or make it really, really big. That's already almost 10 inches tall. It would probably need to be that kind of size because you need to leave enough room around here to be able to glue the pieces together. So that's almost 10.5 inches tall now, which is very, very big. If you're planning to put this in the post, 10.5 inches tall is gonna be quite a big envelope. So, decision made, I'll go for this one. And I really do think actually choosing the right image is the hardest bit about this whole process. So we've done the difficult bit, kind of. Now we need to work on turning this into a gift card holder. And we can probably make it a little bit smaller. And that's about right. There's enough room to add a little bit of glue down here for when we're making the pocket. It's just over 8 inches tall, so that is still fairly big for if you're going to be posting it. but not quite as big as the other one. Again, you could always squidge him down a little bit to make him, to make it fit a little bit better. Something like that. Just be careful if you squidge it too much, it might start looking a little bit weird. But that I quite like actually, because now he's under 8 inches tall, which means I could fit him into an 8x8 envelope. Right, let's look at these layers. We'll also need to decide if we want the card to fold at the top or down the side. It's going to be probably easier on this one for it to go at the top, because we can then cover the fold with the, we can do the fold here, just before the top bit that pulls out. And I think that'll work best. You could also do it down here, but there's not a lot to go on here, so you'd need to make a flat edge. So doing it here where we can cover it up is going to be easier. I'm going to ungroup the layers and see what we've got. Okay, so this bottom layer is great because it contains the shape of everything else. That's going to make it nice and easy to work with. Then we've got this one, which is all of the black pieces. We've got the scarf and that little bit on the hat and his nose. His nose is good. We don't need to change anything from that. For this one, I want to separate out the two pieces because they're joined together at the moment. To do that, duplicate the layer. Let's make one over here. And then use the contour button to take out one of them. I'm actually going to take out the scarf. And then do the opposite on this one. So this time I'll take out the top. And then I can just move that over. It's going to make it easier to cut from cardstock, but also we can then just play about with everything a bit easier if we need to. And do the same thing on this. I want to just separate out his hat. You can also duplicate in place by pressing the Alt key and moving the mouse a little bit. You see when I do this, I get the little plus sign. Then click and it will duplicate in the same place. So on this one, let's hide everything apart from his hat. And then on this one, I'm going to hide the hat like that. And also I'm going to do this once more because I want his buttons to be separate from his head. Remember, his head's going to be separate pieces of cardstock so that we can pull it out. So on this one, I'll hide those buttons. And then this one, I will hide his face. So that's only showing the buttons. These two are big enough that they could cut from cardstock and just be glued on top. But the eyes, for his smile, certainly, I'm going to try and be a bit cleverer with that in a moment. Now I need to start cutting him apart. Poor Mr. Snowman. I'll hide everything else. We've just got the base layer showing. And then duplicate it in place a few times with that Alt button so we've got some copies. It's just easier to have lots now in case we need to use them. We might end up deleting them at the end. All right, so I've got one of them here. And let's add the scarf so we've got a little bit of context. Go into shapes and choose a square. And then we'll choose where this is going to be cut. I think probably around there is good. You can also check where we had the thing there. Okay, so it's not quite down far enough. We want it to sort of be touching the top of that white near enough. There we go. Okay, slice that out. And then delete the grey, but we'll keep these two bits. Turn back on the white. I'm going to join these together. So I'll drag a box around them and press combine and weld. And now that's joined together into one piece. This will be the bit that gets pulled out. And then we have the scarf here. And How's that gonna work? Let's just have a think. I think that's going to be fine if I stick the scarf on the body and then just have the head coming out. If you want to, you could neaten up the sides by slicing these bits down here to make it straight edges, but I think it's going to be fine to leave as is. And then for the head, we've got our nose, we've got the pieces of the hat, there and there, and his face. For his face, I'm going to duplicate that layer in place and then put his eyes back on with one, and those I'll cut from cards and just glue them on top. But the other one for his cheeky little smile, I don't want to have to cut all of those bits out. So instead, I've duplicated this and just contoured it so I've only got the face showing. Then I'm going to select that and my white piece. And... oh, I hadn't selected it. There we go. Select both of those and press slice. And that will cut the smile out of this bit. So now these will all be gaps. And then just add a little rectangle of black that's big enough to go behind, and then we'll glue that behind. It's just going to be way easier. Oh, still got his hat showing there. That's going to be way easier to stick on rather than having to do all those tiny bits. That's my gift card bit that we'll pull out. So I'll select all of that and group it. We'll call it the pull out bit. And then for everything else, so what we'll need to do is create the actual card, which is going to be folded in half. We can do that by duplicating. Make sure you don't use the same one. Make sure you do duplicate the bottom bit that we sliced off and then duplicate it again. And then with this one, the third one, flip vertical to turn it upside down. And then select a box around both of these and go align left. That just makes sure that we've got them so that when it's folded, they'll touch. Zoom in a little bit and make sure they're just touching. Here we go. That one might be okay. Then drag a box around both of them and go combine and weld. Oh, they went quite close enough because you see I've still got that line, which means actually they're not joined together. I need to just go up one tiny little bit more and then weld. So you're looking for there to be no line between them now. And then we can add a score line. I'll copy my width. This is just like what we did with the coffee cup. Shapes and a score line. Make it the same height. Rotate 90 degrees. Select that and our base and go align center. And then, oh, actually that didn't really work for the width because obviously it gets wider than where the score line is going to be. So we could just drag it in. It doesn't matter if the score line is bigger. Mine's still a little bit bigger. It will still cut around where it's supposed to. And then attach them. And I'll send it to the back. And I think I want to make him a white snowman more than a blue snowman. Now, at the moment, he's still actually not going to stand because he doesn't have a flat base. I probably should have actually fixed that before I made the card. And we'll do that now. If I move this below our pull out, just slice a teeny tiny bit off the bottom so that it's got a straight edge to it. Just a little. Okay, now he'll stand up. So I'm going to do that again really, really quickly. Duplicate it twice more. Flip one of them vertically. Align left, and then move them down so that they're just barely touching. Combine and weld, and then we'll do the score line again. Oops, I just made that 90 inches tall instead of rotating it 90 degrees. That would be a big score line. Right, there we go. And send to the back. Oh, and I was going to make it white. White. There. If your image doesn't have anything that you can easily slice off the bottom, then you could add other pictures on top instead and then weld them to your base. For example, you could add some grass or even just a little rectangle or oval coming out with a flat base, just something that means it can be flat if you want it to stand up. There we go. And then on this bit that's still blue, this will be what's stuck on top to create the pocket for the gift card holder to go in. Make that one white. And that's going to have a scarf to stick on top of it. And my buttons. We're nearly there now. I think the only thing to do is to add some layers inside the back so that the back has some extra weight on it. Just like with the coffee cup, we need this back piece to have a little bit of weight to it. Otherwise, it might not stand up because the gift card is very top heavy. So we'll duplicate the front. And I think this is going to be a bit of an odd shape if I did this, but what you could do is just choose an offset and make it smaller, and that would be your first layer, and then do it again. It probably doesn't need to be quite that big on this one, and that would be your second. So this would be the bit I'd write on, and this would just be a bit of colour. Actually, I quite like how that looks. It does fill the space nicely, and then so that will go on the inside. One final time before we do anything else, we can actually delete all these other snowman bases. We don't need them, but I'm going to check before I cut this out that my gift card still fits. So this is still set to that default 2.125 by 3.37, the standard gift card size. And where is my holder? Here it is. Just going to check. Yeah, that's perfect. If it didn't fit at this point, you would want to select everything and group it with the group button up here so that you can change the size to get it to fit. But that is all good. So I'm going to go ahead and save snowman gift card holder. And then I'll get all this cut out and we'll see how he goes together. Here are all the bits of my snowman cut out, so let's see how well he goes together. So first, let's start with the front of the card, I think, which will be this bit. Make sure my scarf's the right way around. And then I just want to glue a little bit around the edge to make the pocket, but don't glue that top bit. Then that fits directly onto my card base, which I've already folded in half. Remember not to push it down too much. You don't want that glue to smush out loads, otherwise your card might not fit. There. While that's drying, we can start on the bit to go in. And let's turn him over, glue my black rectangle to the back, cover up all those bits of coal. Definitely much easier than gluing on lots of little tiny circles. Okay. Oh, smushed my glue a little bit there, but don't worry, it dries clear so it won't notice. And then I've got his hat. That's got the red stripe to go on it. And then his eyes and nose. Just going to get these into where I want them to go before I stick them. Oh, it looks a bit creepy without a nose. That's upside down. That way round's better. A little bit of glue on these eyes. There. And then I'll add a little pop of dimension on his carrot nose with a tiny little foam square. There we go. And then hopefully my card fits in there, which it does beautifully. Okay, we'll move back onto the main card now. And I've got the two separate layers for the writing. First, I'll add my coloured one. It's definitely much quicker to stick them together than to design them. But I had a lot of fun creating him in Design Space, and I hope that all the steps were helpful so that you can see how to design your own too. This one goes in the middle. This is where my message will be written. Like that. And then let's do the scarf. Now that's going to poke out a little bit, so I don't want to add glue across the whole thing. I'll just put some along there and then some along there. That'll hold it in place. Kind of missed where that was supposed to go. There. And I think a little bit of foam for the two bits of coal on his front. There's one. And two. Okay. There's his body. And then hopefully this will slot in. It's a little bit harder to see on this one because the scarf comes out over the top. So I've slotted that in, and then it will go all the way down so that it's covered up by the scarf. Probably need to play about with the positioning a bit to get it right in. And it might look better if I cut these bits off the side. Remember I mentioned that in Design Space. I think actually it will go in a little easier without those on. It's a little bit tight at the moment. But there is my custom snowman gift card with the message inside. Let's see if he stands up. He does. It goes down a little bit, so it might need a little bit more weight on the back. Oh, he just needs to be folded up better. There you go. He stands up beautifully. If you do find that yours doesn't stand up that well, then you can just add a couple more bits of card to the back. Maybe just recut these bits in different colours, or even both in white, so it's just got some extra white pieces, just to make that back a little heavier, so it's a bit more like the front. But he does stand up just fine. So here is our custom gift card holder, as well as the one that I provided with today's free download, and the gift box one too. Now, if you're sending these as a card, you might want to put them in an envelope, but they're all kind of funny sizes, so it's going to be a little bit tricky finding an envelope to fit. I have a free envelope template which you can resize to any size design. I'll drop the link to that in the description of this video so you can get that, and that has a full tutorial and video on it showing how to resize the envelope so you can make one that perfectly fits these gift cards. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make custom gift cards with your Cricut machine. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you tomorrow for the next day of the card making countdown. Thank you for watching. Bye!